Welcome to the latest episode of Executive Roast. I'm your host, Emma Bagley. I'm also the founder of Zeal Agency, an Amazon marketing and management company, specialist in Amazon. We also support sellers in terms of Google ads and Meta ads, but Amazon first performance marketing agency. I'm excited today to talk to Khaled from Avask. Now, I have worked a lot with Avask and supported sellers' international expansion, and Avask is just such a wealth of knowledge. They're the friendliest specialist company I probably have ever dealt with. So thank you very much. But Avask is a tax and compliance business for e-commerce sellers. Their headquarters are in the UK, but they've got subsidiaries all across the world, and they help e-commerce sellers, whether they're on Amazon or not on Amazon, in anything to do with tax and product compliance. And honestly, like I mentioned, they are the friendliest bunch. So even if you've just got a query, you can email them, pick up the phone, and they are super helpful. So welcome to the show. Khaled, would you please introduce yourself and your role within Avask, please?
Of course. Thank you so much, firstly, for having me here. It's such a pleasure, and I'm looking so forward to do even more videos like this with you in future, because it's an industry that never sleeps. So we have to keep up ourselves and obviously make sure that our watchers are also up to date with everything. Continuing on what you said, my name is Khaled. I am part of the Avask team. I've been with the company for 3 years. I started initially in their customs department, where I developed myself and learning what's happening in the customs offices and what is required for you when you're moving your stock from one country to another. And then I transitioned myself into a general business development officer role, being promoted to actual senior role recently, where I help sellers like you expand, giving you all the information and all the little bullet points and the check marks you need to know in order to conduct a successful business somewhere else rather than where you're incorporated.
Thank you. And just before we start the formal interviews, what country would you say is the most complex in terms of tax or product compliance that you help sellers navigate? Is there any country that stands out at all?
It's one more complicated than the other. It's never a straight answer when it comes to one country, because in the EU, all the countries are sort of governed by the European Union laws. So what you need in France, for example, you also need in Germany. But I would say that one of the most complicated or the most complex country when it comes to not necessarily taxes, but more product regulation and health and safety is France. If you have ever imported into a country like France, for example, you know for sure that you've been asked for a lot of information, which seems strange at first. If you're a seller who has tried to import into France or imported into France, you know for sure that they asked for a lot of information. Some of them who may have seemed strange to you, such as a full ingredients list of your products or where are they manufactured. They wanted to see a compliance certificate of your manufacturer, even though they're based abroad. Those are sort of informations which are not usually asked for all the products, but especially with the French offices in customs and the tax office, they want to make sure that all the products crossing their border and being presented to their country are regulated and they are confirmed by every single possible country.
So in terms of Avask then, Avask could help sellers through that whole process.
Of course, yes. So what we're doing at Avask, as you mentioned earlier, obviously we're doing mainly the tax compliance. So in order for you to conduct business into France to begin with, you would require to have a VAT number. The VAT number mainly, you probably know this, but it's no harm to do a recap. The VAT number is the token that allows you to store in the country. This is what you use to store and also to account for all your transactions that you're doing. In addition to the VAT number, based on where you are incorporated as a business, at the point of entry, you may be asked for something such as an indirect representation service. This is a service in which a company based locally within the customs jurisdictions where you're trying to cross can represent you legally and take joint liability for your shipment. Joint liability means that that company, that can also be asked if required, does not take ownership of your product. The product always belongs to you. In the majority of the cases, you're the exporter, you're the importer, and then you have someone like Avask who backs you up when it comes to taxation. So, for example, if in a worst case scenario, you get a fee or a fine or a penalty for trying to import something that is not within the regulation, or you're missing some documents and you need some more time, Avask is there to help you with those, and also to become liable just in case something like this occurs.
Okay, so let's go straight into the interview. That's the nature of this podcast, is short Q&A interview style questions. So the first one today is Amazon's new fulfillment center in Ireland. What does the opening of this Amazon fulfillment center in Ireland mean for the UK and EU based sellers? And basically, how does this impact VAT registration requirements, etc.?
Oh, this is such an exciting topic. So since January, as obviously Emma, you know, as the majority of the listeners and the watchers do know as well, you might have got an email from Amazon saying they have officially opened the fulfillment center in Ireland, which means that you are now able to store in one more country with Amazon and access their FBA centers. Going back to the VAT discussion from earlier, you would require to have a VAT number in order to store in that country. And there's still a little bit of uncertainty whether Amazon will transport the products there automatically, or you will need to book a separate transport into Ireland. However, you still have the option to store there. And especially for the sellers who are based in the UK, this could be such a high potential for you to start your expansion if you haven't yet kept a presence in Europe. This can be your starting point to get into Europe, see if your products do well. Because if, for example, you would obtain a VAT number and start storing in Ireland, that could open up the free transportation throughout the whole mainland Europe.
Amazing opportunity. Have many of your sellers actually taken advantage of this opening up of the island's fulfillment center?
They have, yes. And one of the things that help them sort of decide or have an incentive of trying to persuade this option is an Amazon promotion they're actually offering to everyone. If they were to register with our company for an Irish VAT number, Amazon offers this promotion in which they get a free registration and 2 years worth of compliance. So that means that if they register now, they won't have to pay anything for compliance up until 2027, which gives them the head start of seeing if the market is actually good for them. So it's something that I suggest all of you at least inquire, have a look on your Seller Central, drop Emma an email or drop me an email or give us a call and ask about this. We can check your eligibility, and why not just profit here of the Amazon push that they're offering and help.
Yeah, exactly. It's just another exciting opportunity that Amazon presents. Like you say, Amazon's constantly evolving, and it's, so many opportunities now for sellers to expand product range, marketplace range, and you're the team to help. So thank you. So Pan EU 2025. First of all, can you explain what that is, and what's changing and why that matters?
Of course. So the Pan-European program, a program which is open to all the sellers, no matter where they are based. It's a program in which you can become eligible for with minimum 2 VAT numbers, whether in France, Italy, Germany, or Spain. And the other requirement is that in addition to the 2 VAT numbers obtained in one of those 2 countries, you need to make sure that you have your listings active in all the 4 countries, and newly, talking about changes, also in Netherlands. Netherlands has been added as part of the Pan-European program. So in order for you to become eligible now, you need to make sure that your listings are available in Netherlands, even though you may not store there. So use the power of example. You have a VAT number in France and Germany, and your listings active in France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. You need to make sure that your listings are open in Netherlands in order for you to still be eligible for this program. And when we're talking about how the program works, is that your responsibility would only fall into sending the products into one of the countries where you're allowed to store or where you have a VAT number. So again, let's just use the example. You're registered in France and Germany. You're sending into France, and what Amazon does as part of this program is that they take your products automatically at no cost to you as a seller to Germany, just to make sure that you have a physical presence in both markets and make sure that you can have broader reach with your products, because they're fulfilling as much as they can in Prime to all the neighboring countries.
From your experience, the most successful sellers, would they want to have VAT registration in all of those countries so that they can then send stock to all of those different countries and therefore be able to fulfill orders to customers more quickly. Is there a balance here at all that you found, like a sweet spot of how many countries to get that registered?
When it comes to my experience and the advice that I give to my clients is that to start first by becoming eligible for the Pan-European program. If we were to look at the countries who are present in this program, France and Germany are probably the most successful, e-commerce wise and Amazon wise as well. There's countries who have gone up so quickly in all the ratings, and they're the most successful. They are the markets in which you want to be part of. And then open up the listings everywhere throughout Europe, as there's no harm in having them open, and assess every quarter on the sales values. If you're seeing that you get a lot of orders from, let's say, Italy, consider obtaining another VAT number in Italy, and so forth with Spain, and so on with all the other markets. The goal is, and I hear a lot of sellers saying that they don't know exactly what the goal with Amazon is. The goal for them, at least in my opinion, is to have that physical presence in all the Amazon physical marketplaces, to be part of the FBA program, and to assure that their products are eligible for Prime. So as we all know, obviously Emma and me as well, when we buy something from Amazon, they have got us used of having it done tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I'm ordering, exactly. So in our case, if we were to look for a product and then we see we have to pay shipping fees, or we have to wait 2 or 3 days for the products to get to us, our automatic instinct is automatically to go look for a different product which is similar, because we have the Prime eligibility and we have the free shipping, which is generally included in the subscription that we pay consumers to Amazon. So I said, start slow. It's very rarely when I say to someone, oh, you go and register for VAT everywhere. Let's do some assessment, little by little, baby steps. There's no harm. The only downside of working in this way, in which you do little by little and country by country after you become eligible for the Pan-European program, is that you pay a little bit more in the Amazon fees. For any of you who don't know this yet, if, for example, you are storing a product in France and I'm asking you as a client to deliver to me in Germany, when Amazon FBA sends the products from France to Germany, you are paying an international FBA fee, which sadly sometimes can be triple than the normal price. So in the long run, this is not the best solution. If you're seeing in the example that we just used that you get orders from Germany, the next step would be for you to consider getting VAT registers, because there's clearly demand.
I suppose the short-term costs of having that higher FBA international fee versus the cost of registering that in all of those different countries, and then not finding that there's not the demand there to satisfy that cost.
Correct. Yeah, things have to be put into the balance, and there's agencies there who can do analytics and see if the product has sold. How is your competition doing? Because this is another thing which a lot of sellers have to do, and they must, and sometimes gets overlooked. You need to assess the market a little bit, see if there's demand, see what you can do better, see how you can beat your competitors. Because Europe is not as saturated as a territory as the United States, for example. The competition in the United States is huge. In the Europe, we are luckily not at that level yet, but there's still competition nonetheless. So every move would have to be calculated.
So, okay, Italy. Italian tax authority updates.
Yeah.
There's been a shift in how Italy is handling VAT. What's changed recently, and how are sellers being affected by this?
As you can see, probably like my facial expression completely changed. When we hear Italy now, it just brings goosebumps, because they've just brought up those new regulations in which the majority of non-EU sellers are sadly impacted due to the level of unpaid taxes in Italy and unpaid VAT for sellers who haven't accounted for properly, and actual VAT fraud to go to that level. They have recently introduced this bank guarantee regulation, which is pretty much a deposit of up to 50,000 euros, which the sellers would need to dispose of in order to activate into the market. whether you're on Amazon or non-Amazon, or even an actual physical merchant in the country, you will need to have this bank guarantee accounted for. Luckily, there's 3 options which you can look to utilize. The majority of you would have a business bank account. You can simply go to your bank and ask them for a specific letter. There's a letter available on the Italian tax office website. There's an actual template. You can take that template to your bank and ask if they would be able to complete it on your behalf. That is their way of seeing that the bank confirms that you have at least that amount of money into your bank, and you can cover, again, in a worst case scenario, a fine up to that amount. The alternative to this, if you don't want to do this, or if your bank does not want you to get involved, you can look for an insurance company, a business insurance company, which needs to be locally based to you. This is something very important for you all to note. The insurance company does not need to be based in Italy. They need to be based locally in your country of incorporation or state of incorporation if you are into the US. And the third option, which is probably the hardest one, is to actually pay this 50,000 euros up into a designated bond.
Incredible. So that's, well, sometimes larger companies find this challenging because of the bureaucracy within a large company, but in definitely a small private labor seller business, that is probably too big an obstacle to even consider there for competing in Italy. Can you see this changing in other countries as well in Europe?
I don't think they're necessarily going to set up an example. Personally, I think these rules in Italy have come up more of how the tax office works. They are the tax authority in general, at least, again, a personal note, not necessarily a VASC, just me personally dealing with them. I think they are a little bit behind. Are they trying to catch up? And whilst they're doing the catch up with their taxes and the sort of the recuperation of all this money, they're trying to make sure the issue and the amounts of money which are now owed to the tax office, it won't amplify in the future. So this is their way of saying, from now on, we're going to have a backup option because we didn't have it up until now. Other countries like Germany and France, they don't have as big of a sum when it comes to money owed, because they are very strict and it's unlikely they will miss something. They're very prompt of paying you back, and they're going to make sure that you pay them back if you owe them something.
So if there's any advice now for a company or, a seller brand wanting to expand into Italy and they haven't considered this, just like maybe within the next 6-12 months, they're considering Italy, what would you recommend they think about now then to help them prepare for this?
Especially when it comes to the Amazon side of the business, if you're a seller that you're on Amazon, I would suggest keeping Italy now just with the listings open up until the regulations are definitive, because this is just what we heard right now. They haven't yet been imposed and they're currently still under discussion. They are on the tax office's desk for final signature and final imposable sort of stage. But I would suggest wait until, if you're not sure about that market doing well for you, and if you don't dispose of neither of the options mentioned earlier, so the bank letter, the insurance company, or the actual payment, wait until the regulation is clear and official on the monitor, and then consider one of your options, or fulfill from other country into Italy.
Yeah, very sound advice. Thank you very much. Okay, so EPR compliance. What's now mandatory in 2025? What are the latest rules Amazon must meet in order to avoid listing suppression? And what should they have in place to be compliant?
So what's new? This is going to change so quickly, because since I initially started speaking to you about this, there's been 2 more countries added, and they're currently on the table for discussion. So
Wow.
just to do a recap, same as we've done for the VAT, EPR comes from extended producer responsibility. Those are fees eco fees that you have to pay towards the recycling of your products. There's general categories that you need to physically register for. So there's a number, for example, the three main categories are packaging, electronics, and batteries. Those are the three main categories. Some countries would have an extra one for single-use plastic, as Germany. And there are countries like France where they have a category for tires, furniture, toys, DIY equipment, gardening, and the list goes on and on. If you are on Amazon, as of now, this is only mandatory for you in Germany. Germany would like you to have the number for each category that you sell. Packaging is mandatory for everyone. Electronics and batteries, of course, only if you have them on your catalog, and single-use plastic, again, if you fall into the categories that they have established. If you were to think about it, single-use plastic, you need to think of like more of the food industry. If you're selling food, that comes obviously into a wrapper, which a seller would simply just open, terminate, eat the food, and then throw the wrapper away. That is single-use plastic. Also, subcategories such as the tobacco industry, and also wet wipes, and different sort of storage bags or single-use gloves. This is what falls into single-use plastic. If you are only on Amazon, going back to the point of what Amazon can do, they have this option which is called Pay on Behalf. Pay on Behalf means that Amazon can handle the EPR eco taxes for you. They will charge you a fee of 25 euros per year per category. They will deduct.
How much? Sorry, could you repeat that for me, please?
Of course, yeah. They will deduct the 25 euros per category needed. So let's say a seller who sells a phone, for example, in France. That phone would fall in packaging, electronics, and batteries. So that is 75 euros per year just for Amazon to do it for you. They would calculate how much eco taxes you have to pay based on the sales value they have from your reports, which they will deduct from your account. And on top of this, the actual eco fee, they would also take a 3% commission out of the fee that you're paying.
All adds up then, doesn't it?
Correct. This eliminates the need of you needing to register for the number and to assure compliance. It's good to know that when it comes to EPR, it's pretty much similar with the VAT. You need to obtain a number, and every month and every year, depending on the category, you need to file and calculate how much waste pretty much you have created with that product and how much you have to pay. There's different categories, different weights, and there's some thresholds for some of the countries. I said, as of now, this is only imposable in Germany, France, Austria, and Spain. For Spain and France, the Pay on Behalf scheme is available. Germany and Austria are mandatory to begin with. And as of 18th of August, countries like Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, and Poland are also joining the scheme. And the regulations are sadly exactly as they are in Germany. So in order for you to keep your listings active and to keep selling, you will need to register for EPR by 18th of August 2025.
So to simplify that for those people who are not aware whatsoever of this process, what is the simple step-by-step process they need to now take if they're operating in any of the European countries from mid-August?
So first is to establish exactly what do they need. So what are the products and where the products fall into category-wise. All those 4 extra countries have the electronics, packaging, and batteries. There's also single-use plastic available. They will need to make sure that they contact someone like Avask who can register them and maintain compliance. Otherwise, unfortunately, the listings will be deactivated if the number is not present on Seller Central or on another marketplace. Sadly, the rules apply both to Amazon and non-Amazon.
So the simple answer is to contact Avask. And would you handhold people through this process to find out the most cost-efficient way for them to navigate it?
Of course. The way it works with us when it comes to EPR, we would simply first ask, what are you selling? And based on that, what are you selling and where do you have the VAT numbers? Where are the listings? and then we'll let you know what is needed. What is good about those, I feel like the majority of the sellers would fall this packaging category, which is mandatory for everyone. It needs to be done. No matter what you sell, you do need the packaging registration. What a good thing about this, and it's good to note, if you sell in Netherlands or in Belgium, and very successful countries, obviously, all the Belgium orders fulfilled from France, all the Netherlands ones fulfilled from Germany, you benefit from some thresholds. So you have the option not to register to begin with. The Netherlands threshold is quite high, it's 5 tons. So obviously, I wish all of our listeners would reach that threshold. Let that be the problem. The Belgian threshold is of 300 kilograms up until the registration is needed. So if you're only on packaging and only those 2 countries are of concern, you don't need to do anything for now. If you're also touching marketplaces like Poland and Sweden, you need to make sure that you register for packaging. It's very important, and we've seen this happening before. Going back to the steps is evaluating the sales. See if I don't see many of you not needing to be in that marketplace. The more marketplaces you have, the more you sell. So it's unlikely you would prefer to have the listing deactivated in the country for the sake of registering and filing. Sadly, those are the rules that we have to keep up by. So evaluate where are you selling, evaluate the sales volumes, see if there's any thresholds available, and let us know when would you like to register, and we'll let you know how long it will take.
Thank you. And just to be clear then as well, so is this where your stock is, your inventory is, or where you're selling? So it's just, I was just thinking about the VAT compliance. So is it to do with where the inventory is or where you're selling?
It applies to both. So for example, if a seller has storage in Poland, that means their inventory is available on Amazon.pl. So they have both listings and storage. But if a seller, for example, only stores in France, but have only the listings activated in Poland and they fulfill from France, same as we used in the previous example, in order to maintain the listings in Poland, to have the Amazon PL orders still appearing when, not the orders, apologies, to have the Amazon PL product when somebody in Poland searches for it, they will need this EPR in place.
And how is this going to affect those sellers that they only have their inventory in the UK, but they've opened up their listings, which Amazon frequently encourages?
It's exactly the same situation, sadly. So even though you're storing from the UK and you're likely adhering to their EFN program, it's exactly the same case. If you would like to keep your listings active and have Amazon fulfill from the UK internationally, you will need to have the EPR in place.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Well, that completes our official questions. Is there anything that you feel I haven't covered today that a lot of sellers come to you asking about? Say within the last 6 months, what's really topical that you think would be really valuable to share with my listeners?
Yes, I think a topic which it's not necessarily a service that Avast provides, but it's a very important service that the sellers will need to have, and it's again sometimes overlooked. It's the actual product compliance. It's interesting to see that how much compliance can go. For example, if you sell pen, and what information you need to display and what needs to be on the label. So if you're listening this and if you are considering expansion, make sure you ask some questions, whether to people like me or Emma, what would be required in order for your product to be compliant when it comes to its actual health and safety. There have been some change in regulations dating back from last year. Amazon used to oversee a service which is called responsible person. And they have sadly stopped, which means that now if you're putting a product on the market, you have to be directly responsible for its health and safety and performance. And as mentioned earlier, as little as, or not necessarily insignificant, that's not probably the best word, as little or as simple as your product can be, make sure you speak to someone who is an expert in this to give you the right advice, because the truth of the matter is you may need something additional to put it on the market if you are not incorporated within the territory where you're trying to expand.
Wonderful advice. Thank you very much. There is one surprise question that I actually ask every single interviewee, so I'm going to put you on the spot now. So if you had a crystal ball, how do you think Amazon is going to evolve in the next, well, by 2030? If you had a crystal ball, do you think we'll all be AI driven? Have you got your predictions? Do you think Amazon will even exist anymore? Do you have any kind of insights from your workings on what you think will change over the next 5 to 7 years?
Oh, wow, that puts me on the spot. So I can see AI being integrated in Amazon a lot. It grows and it grows, and it feels like it's incorporating every single market, every single sort of day-to-day task that we're doing. So I'm seeing that being incorporated, but more on the actual, at least again, on a personal opinion, more on the actual buyer side rather than the sellers. That will be on buyer side, comparing which one's best. So obviously that puts our sellers on the spot, making sure that you get good reviews, that you put products on the market. So I'm seeing this developing to a high level, just pretty much telling Amazon or Alexa which product should I buy, which one's the best, and you as your listener, you have to make sure that Alexa mentions your name.
Yeah.
On
And
the other
Rufus
side,
as well. Do you use the Rufus AI chat bot on the mobile at all?
yes, yeah, and it's proven to be quite effective, and they're going to implement that more and more. Even when it comes to both sellers and buyers on Amazon, I can see them just pushing the AI, and as a general of what I've heard, it actually solves the issues. So
I've
it's
had
proven to be.
I've had mixed results personally as a shopper with Rufus. But as AI is constantly evolving, I can absolutely agree with you here. This is where I think the sellers should be paying attention, because no longer is it going to be down to search or ads. It's going to be AI making decisions, isn't it? So yeah, it'll be a very new, interesting, competitive landscape, maybe just even within the next 12 months. So.
Of course. And I think the other main topic is that I'm seeing them in more markets than they are right now. So only this year we have added 2 new marketplaces in Ireland and Netherlands. Last year they added Sweden, and they're going to be more and more. So I think in the next 5 years we're going to go from 8 physical marketplaces to probably 12, if I were to make some predictions.
Amazon isn't going anywhere, is it? It's only going to grow and evolve.
They're here for the long run.
They are. So e-commerce businesses that want to shy away from Amazon, unfortunately, Amazon is just going to become more and more dominant. That's definitely my prediction. So, okay, well, it's been absolutely a pleasure speaking to you. And please, just in case any of the listeners missed the contact details at the beginning of the show, please can you let us know how to contact Avast, and can they reach out to you directly, or is there a central email? Please share your contact details.
Of course. So if they can reach out to us on email at inquiries@avaskgroup.com. That is the
inquiries, the British spelling with an E.
Correct. So inquiries@avaskgroup.com. That is the general email for me and my team. Either I or one of my team will pick it up. Let us know that you're coming from this podcast, that you know Emma.
So inquiries@avask.com.
Correct. Please, yeah. Let us know there. How can we help? Let us know that you've seen us or heard about us in this podcast. And if you would like just to give us a call, our phone number is 02380 600 120. And if you're from abroad, +44 in front. So +44 2380 600 120.
Thank you. And finally, I would say Avast runs some amazing events and webinars, don't they? How can they learn more about actually listening on the webinars or actually attending any in-person events? How can they find out more?
So they can join our mailing list on our website. And also, if they were to contact us, they can always just ask us what are the upcoming events and webinars they can participate. We try to put as much content as we can to keep everyone updated. And also we ask sellers what sort of topics would like to hear about, as not all the topics may be of interest for everyone, but if it's specifically important to you, for sure it's important for the others. So even for that case, again, inquiries@avaskgroup.com. Just send us an email saying you would like to hear some more information about a specific topic, and we'll make sure we incorporate it into the next session.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing. And that's the end of the show. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It was such a pleasure.